Do you want to play better golf? Of course you do. Well, here are 3 easy ways to do it. 1. Open your smartphone and look for the podcast app. 2. Open the podcast app and search Breaking Par with Bernard Sheridan. 3. Subscribe and never miss an episode of great golf instructor interviews from around the world. A new guest every week, like David Ledbetter, Brian Manzella, Dr. Sashow McKenzie, James Siekman, just to name a few. Hear their insight as they deliver their wisdom of the game. Take control of your game. Subscribe today. Your game will thank you for it.
Welcome to Breaking Par with Bernard Sheridan, the golf instruction podcast that helps you take control of your game. Now, here's your host, the founder of Par Breakers Golf Academy and certified Golf Channel Swing Fix instructor, Bernard Sheridan.
Brad, welcome to Breaking Par. Thanks so much for taking the time out to be with us today.
Yeah, appreciate you having me. Look forward to Breaking Par too.
So, yeah, we all do. So, and that's hence the name of the show. So you're in Minnesota. So when does your season start there, really?
Well, I've transitioned to coach a lot of high school and college players, so our season's almost 12 months now. And so we have our main shoulder season, our outdoor season runs. This year we got started pretty early. I think it was April 8th, which is the second earliest in the last 15 years that I've been here. And then we'll go typically just past Thanksgiving. So usually beginning of May, I can kind of start counting on the weather, and then through about October. It's pretty hard in those 7 months.
Sure. So, and in the off season, what do you have, an indoor facility or something like that you're doing stuff in?
Yeah, I've got a couple of facilities. I've got a couple of great partners. One's Twin Cities Orthopedic, and it's a group of physical therapy and some doctors. And we've got a personal trainer over there, so we've put together some high school and college prep programs and a lot of private coaching as well. So I'll use that facility, and also the indoor-outdoor facility called the Golf Zone that I'll teach at, so you can see full ball flight. So it works out pretty good. The other one, or Twin Cities Orthopedic, has we call it a golf lab. We've got a launch monitor and a simulator in there. So one we can kind of play and kind of work on the swings, and the other one we can see ball flight and also working a little bit on swings as well.
Sure. So I saw that you're a junior U.S. Kids Master Professional. So are you doing a lot of work with juniors, or is it kind of like a half and half type thing for you?
You know, it's kind of transitioned over the last few years. I've changed facilities and changed the target market a little bit. So it used to be probably 70-30 juniors, and now I'm probably 70-30 adults. So just based on the facility.
Sure. So I know that depending upon where you are, I know that for me too, depending upon where I am, even though I have an academy, where my academy is located will dictate whether I'm more active with more junior players or more active with adults. And that just, is the nature of the business, depending upon where you are. It's true as to how it affects what you're able to do and what your clientele base is like.
Yeah, part of the reason I got involved with juniors is they were the ones that were taking lessons year round. So, and they're recession proof. The parents are usually willing to spend money on their kids, but may not take a golf lesson as their income fluctuates. But so it was a way of hedging my bets, if you will. But I enjoy working with anybody with a goal, is what I usually tell people who I like working with. So.
Sure. Now, I know that your philosophy, I was reading on your website there, your philosophy is to try to make everything that you do as individualized as possible and work. But I know that also, as I looked, I see that you're trained in several different areas of how to instruct and in fitness and things of that nature. So when you're working with different students, you don't particularly teach really a method then. You're doing whatever it takes to be able to help that individual, correct?
Yeah, I look at movement patterns. I think we all have different movement patterns, whether it's your shoulder or your feet or your thoracic spine mobility, all that kind of stuff. So I've got a set of assessments that I use and then design golf swings based on that. So it's really fun to do with kids because they look like tour pros after about 35 minutes because they don't have any preconceived notions and they just do it naturally and it looks great. Adults takes a little bit longer, not too much longer, but usually about 4 or 5 sessions. I can get somebody in there pretty good.
Sure. So with the adult stuff, you're doing an assessment. So is that a TPI assessment? Is what you do?
It's a blend of TPI, a little bit of the golfing machine, and Mike Adams and E.A. Tischler's
Sure.
Dynamics.
Yeah.
Some of their stuff too. So I've been fortunate to work with a ton of guys and kind of taken bits and pieces from everybody and made it my own, I guess.
Yeah, a lot of the way that I do with my students is very similar. I'm not involved in TPI, but I do a lot of the bio testing that Mike Adams and E.A. Tischler do. I've taken that certification course too, and that's helped tremendously to get down to really cut. I want to say trim the fat away, and
It's
kind of
more specific than TPI. TPI is kind of athletic based, long-term
sure.
development, which is great. But I think the other system that we're talking about is very golf specific, and it's worked great for me. So
Yeah, me too. I mean, I've had wonderful success with getting down to the root of the problem and also finding the student's natural swing style that's built for their body type that works best for them and that it seems like they do anyway.
it seems like they get about 7 out of 10, and then it's those 2 or 3 pieces that you put back in there correctly, and they're off the races.
Yeah. Well, I think too that the great thing about that that program is that what it does is it lets you not have to try to guess a lot of stuff now or have them take a lot of lessons, and then after they take all these lessons, then you in that whole group of lessons you figure out that, hey, you know what, they're not stack and tilt, or they're not golfing machine, or they're not 2-plane swing, they're, or whatever it may be. You right away know immediately what they are, how they're creating ground force, what they're doing for pressure, and whether they're more rotational or vertical or all that kind of stuff. So it definitely makes a huge difference. Allows you to individualize the lesson too a lot better.
Yep, that's exactly what I found too.
Yeah. Now when you're using those type methods and you get them started, what's an average lesson? Like say we have a new student and they come to you and they are interested in working with you and you do your testing and stuff like that. What is usually they can expect in their average lesson in that first lesson other than that?
Yeah, I guess I do 2 things. I do one 20-minute free session, and that's more of a goal setting, and I'll ask them if they want for one specific aspect of the game that they want to improve, and then I'll attack that area, and then sit down and just chat with them. Like, here's what I see, here's the plan to see, or how I think we can improve, and then the second one is a 90-minute, what I call a discovery session. That's where we assess their skills and look at their body and the movement patterns, and that's the full deal. Do a little putting in there, some chipping, pitching. Use a Dave Pell short game assessment and pick 3 to 5 shots out of that. And then some putting. I use that iPing putter app a little bit. And then just kind of build the program based on their initial assessment. Saying, here's your strengths, here's your weaknesses. This is what we want to build on your strength side, and this is how I think you need to develop those weaknesses. And off we go.
Sure. Now, as for technology, what type of technology are you using, if any?
I use a flight scope. I got a couple different bags of teaching aids. We have iPing, the in-flight software that goes along with the iPing. We got access to a lot of stuff. I got some partners that have the 3D motion capture. I got somebody that's injured. We're trying to figure out something. We can go and look at that. The TCO. What else do we use? Try to keep it relatively simple because I find that some of that technology doesn't transfer to play. And my goal is to get people playing better golf, not just hitting balls off flat lies like they do in most lessons where they're perfect lie, flat conditions, and So we transition on to the golf course. So I guess the golf course, that's the third assessment, is if I have somebody, typically a single-digit handicap or below, first thing that we do is typically go out and play. And then we just watch and then observe and track some of their misses or their stats, how far they're hitting the clubs. So, yeah.
So you're out on the golf course too. So you're doing playing lessons and do it. So are you using any type of cameras out there too, or are you shooting video of them or anything like that when they're on the golf course, or is it basically you're just assessing what they're doing?
Depends on the level of player. I'm not a huge video guy unless they know what they're looking for. I think if you show a beginner their golf swing, there's so many things that are going on that they just get confused. And whereas I like to use video as more of a confirmation or kind of a visual aid of here's where you are, this is where I think you need to be, that can produce the shot shape that you're looking for, versus drawing lines. I've never been a big line drawer. Again, I think we're on the same page with there's no ideal swing, there's just an ideal swing that you can make. So there's movement patterns that will dictate somebody's bringing it inside or up a little bit steeper or whatever. So I'm not a huge video guy. I do have a Jason video cart, but I don't use it that much.
Sure. Well, I know that everybody is different. I know that for me, I use a lot of 3D stuff when I'm in my studio. When I'm out on the range, I really will only use some 2D stuff, just for the fact that I don't have electric available. If I had the electric, I probably would use the 3D stuff, but sometimes that's not always available. And then when I'm out on the course, I'm using like Game Golf just to kind of track what their shots are doing and things like that. And then using my iPhone for 2D stuff if I just want them to see kind of what they're doing.
iPhones these days with the slow motion, they're as good as most cameras that I've had in the past. They're probably better than most cameras. I got a little GoPro that's pretty sweet, but I haven't used it that much yet. Meaning to get out there and shoot some videos. And
yeah, I have the GoPro too, but I think it's true that the high-speed video that you can do on an iPhone is really, it's incredible in comparison to what it was just a few years ago. You'd have to have like a $2,000 camera to do what an iPhone does, which is nuts. I mean, technology is just it's just moving at such an incredible rate that as instructors, I think it's an exciting time to be able to get that technology and have it so that you can carry it in your pocket, and then be able to utilize it when you need it. And when you don't have to worry about it. You're just working on, the normal things that you would normally be working on when you're outside. So essentially then when you're doing these playing lessons, are there specific things that you work on as for specific shots, or say to a student, hey, you got all these different options at you here. Why, you don't need to fly the ball into the hole or things like that. Because I find that a lot of players, when I'm doing a playing lesson and they're in a spot, they only look at it one way. I try to get them to look at it like 3 or 4 different ways. And then if we're not holding up play, of course, then we try to get them to do different types of shots or experiment with different things, and then maybe see which one of those really work best for them. And then maybe they would now think a little bit outside the box. Is a lot of the playing lessons that you're doing on that realm too?
A little bit. I do a lot of similar to you. I'll ask them, give me 3 ways to play this shot, and then I'll have them play. Usually the first concept that comes to mind is usually the best, not always, but then just creating situations. I'm looking a lot at pre-shot routine, and if they're going through a pre-shot routine, or if they're just kind of rushing through things, or and just getting them focusing more on the target rather than looking at the golf balls. I think that's one of the keys to playing great golf is clearing your mind and being able to focus on where you want the ball to go, not in your swing. So that's kind of the transition from playing to practice, or from practice to play.
Sure, I totally agree with that. I know that in all sports, if you look at any other sports, the players are never thinking about the athletic motion. They're thinking about where they want to address what they want to have happen. If they want to throw a baseball, if they want to throw a ball to first base, they're not thinking about how to throw it. They're thinking about first base and get the ball there. So I think that that's a huge thing. I mean, absolutely.
I was watching Rory yesterday at playing. He hit that shot in 16 or a driver 365 and wedge from 155 or whatever it was, crazy from 500 yards. And they interviewed him after, and he's like, "Yeah, boring. Just drive the wedge. Boring."
Yeah, don't we all wish that golf was that boring?
Yeah, that's what everybody's saying. That's
Yeah,
exciting for me. He does it all the time. He plays. I mean, one of my good playing mentors, or where I really learned how to play, or the difference between practicing and playing, is Ty Armstrong. From 1Q school, he used to talk about swish. If he hit that perfect shot, he'd kind of call swish out. Right after he hit it, he'd call it swish, and he'd be within 6 feet almost all the time, whenever he called it, anyways. But he was one that really taught me about, he worked with Dr. Cook. He was probably one of the original guys that Dr. Cook based his movie on, Golf in Utopia. That the see it, feel it, trust it mentality. So you got to see the shot first. You got to feel it, whether it's on a practice swing or internally, and then you just got to step up to the ball and trust that your training will take over and hit it. So it wasn't mechanically inclined by any means. It was just play it. So he put a target on his golf ball. He had 2 different colors on his golf ball, and that was his visual cue to just hit strikes or hit the target. So, interesting playing thing.
absolutely. I mean, and that's a nice little break of wisdom there to partake to our listeners in Par Nation, that target maybe a little key like that, even if you're drawing on your ball, or maybe I've seen players maybe draw a little thing on their glove or something. So when they look at it, it kind of they go, hey, they see that, and then they go, that's right, that's what I should be, I should be looking at my target, or I should be focusing on my target and not worrying about mechanics, and clear my mind and things like that. I think that's the biggest part about, it's probably one of the major hurdles in teaching players, or as a player, getting the most out of your game is being able to clear your mind and really just see what you have to do, feel what you have to do, sense it, like you said, and then execute, and make that as seamless as possible. Of course, I think that once players start to get better, that's a natural progression that they do. But if they have some bad shots, or they don't play as well, that's the best way for them to bounce back, is to stay in that kind of a mode, as opposed to get into, all of a sudden now they're trying to analyze, what did I just do wrong? I should have done it. I mean, you do see players do that too, I mean, where they're like, what did I do wrong? And then they're trying to fix it, or they're making a practice swing again after, and then they're thinking about it the whole way to the ball, before they even hit their next shot. And now there's paralysis by analysis, which so many, I want to say 15 to 25 handicappers are doing, whereas the ones who are single digit to maybe 12s are doing more of what you just said, the feel it, sense it, visualize it, execute it, let it go.
I always talk about that. Everybody's had that beverage cart example, when the beverage cart pulls out of the woods, and your last look is right at the beverage cart, and where do you hit it? Where the beverage cart was, maybe sometimes at it.
Sure.
So let's put that beverage cart right in the hole.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, it's a lot bigger target.
Yeah.
In their mind it is. So if people want to get in touch with you to take a lesson, to ask you some questions, to pick your brain, because you've had a lot of experience in this game, how can they go about doing that? What's the best way for them to do that?
Online, I'm accessible either through Facebook, look up Brad Pluth on Facebook, or my website's golfachievement.com, or I think it's also bradpluthgolf.com. It's the same website, but 2 different entry points. And then I do a fair amount on social media, Google Plus, and mostly Facebook. And I'm always, I've learned from a lot of people, and I enjoy sharing what I've learned and try to help speed up the process.
Yeah, that's definitely. I know that for me too, doing this show,
Yeah.
I learned so much. I mean, it's awesome, and because I have the opportunity to talk to so many different people, instructors, and talk to them about little things in the game, and then of course too, I'm constantly trying to take courses or go observe other instructors. Listen to their insight, things that they're doing. Work with players who are a lot better than I am, which is lately most of them because I really don't play very much, and being able to shoot low scores, you got to play a good amount. When you're helping other people work on their game or doing shows like this, you're not playing. So your game kind of suffers from that, but I think that once you get back in the groove and go, it comes back real quickly because you're constantly immersed in the game and in all the things that you're. I find that a lot of the things that I teach kind of get sunk into myself through osmosis, and a lot of the things that I talk to other instructors about on this show, it starts to become part of what I do. Just because it's you are the 5 people you hang around with most, and I hang around with a lot of really awesome people on this show. I mean, like yourself and other guests. That as a matter of fact, today, because I tape all this on Mondays, and here we are in May. This will air somewhere in July, August, and this was the 3rd interview that I did today. So and just to be able to have that opportunity is just it's just really a wonderful thing.
Yeah, I try to do like a mastermind group where I get 6 or 8 guys together, and as the format of the whole deal is just like a business mastermind. We have one presentation. Whoever's hosting usually does a 30 to 45-minute presentation up front, whether it's on developing an elite player, starting somebody out at golf, women's clinics, or we've got all these different topics over the years. And then everybody brings their biggest challenge, whether it's a student or business problem, and they each have basically 15 minutes to talk about. Here's where I'm at, here's my challenge, and then basically you've got a board of advisors within the group to say, oh, I've done that before, this is what I did, and it just speeds up your business in your golf game for that matter too. Try this drill or try that drill, and we all learn from each other that way.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great idea, and I mean, it's not just for instructors, but it's also a great idea for players to maybe put together a group where find the best players that put together a group, and maybe once a week on social media, chat and talk about stuff and things that you're working on, and to help each other. It's a great way to not only just grow the game, but grow your own game exponentially. So it was great having you with us, Brad. Thanks so much for taking the time. And as we get closer, we'll shoot you out some information so you know when the show is going to be released. But the way it looks now, it's probably somewhere at the end of July, the beginning of August.
Okay.
All right. So as we always say here at Breaking Par and Parting, try to keep it in the short grass.
That's another great course management tip, is hit it in the shortest grass possible.
There you go. All right. Take care.
All right. Thanks.